Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sports in a Nutshell. My name is Franklin Griffin. Alongside me is Hendrix Hill and Lucas Baylard. Today, we'll be talking about who do you think the NFL MVP would be, and also what NIF means to us. NIL. Uh, Hendrix, want to start us off?
Um, I think that the NFL MVP honestly is gonna be Bills quarterback Josh Allen. After what he's shown with all his arm talent, his passing yards have been amazing, and the way he runs is also very productive. So he's a dual threat type of guy, but he's more of a thrower, of course. But if you make him get on his feet, he'll start running for sure. So I think that with the stats and if he continues to play with Stephon Diggs like he has, they're a great duo. I think he'll put up some great stats and be NFL MVP.
What about you, Lucas?
I think it's gonna go to. I think Lamar Jackson's gonna have a pop-out season. I know he hasn't played well in a couple years. I know his team hasn't really been showing the greatest, but I really think he can come back, run the football well, do his thing, make sure they come towards him so he can release the ball out. He's a decent passer, but he's even a better runner. He has to show those talents on both passing and rushing.
For me, I would say it would be Tom Brady. He's already pretty old, but he's really been an inspirational person throughout football almost his entire career. And also, he's really just been a uh, very constant guy, always usually having good seasons. You rarely see him have a terrible season. And now, our second question: what do you think about the NIL?
I think it can be a good thing and not so good thing because for some players who don't get it, I mean, it kind of sucks because even if you work hard, you might be a 3-star and not be a 5-star, and you don't get that $8 million deal, which can separate a locker room. But I saw the other day, like yesterday, Texas Tech, they're giving 100 players 25K each, which is like almost all like a lot of the teams. So I think that's pretty good because it's not a lot of people feeling left out, as in giving one kid $8 million rather than giving a bunch of kids an equal amount, which I think is a little more fair. But I mean, talent is talent, and if someone's willing to pay that much, then let them spend their money. That's how I feel about it.
You, Lucas?
I think it's hard to give money to a young kid that really hasn't proven himself yet in any way and give him $8 million and say, okay, now go show yourself. But they might not show up to practice. You have $8 million. Why do you need to show up to practice? It puts a lot of pressure on the kid, and they're giving all this money away, and it's to a 1% of a player. Not many players will get a huge NIL deal. They'll get free food on Fridays for tweeting about our company. It's a lot of small deals, and then there's one in 1,000 big deals, and it's not fair. And I think it was a good idea, but they went around it in the wrong way, and I really think they could have fixed it.
I agree with both of you. It's a very difficult topic to take a side on. It really depends on the player itself, and based on what they learned previously and what they learned with it, it can decide what happens. It seems like we got a caller coming in. Let's hear what he has to say. Seems like it's Joe from Mississippi.
Hello, guys. For the MVP question, I believe it should be Joe Burrow because a really young quarterback took the Bengals to a really, really deep playoff run, which they haven't been to the Super Bowl in a really long time, and came up really close to winning. Even though they do not win, I still think he should win MVP.
Very solid point there. What do you think?
I mean, I get what you're saying. I just don't think Joe Burrow. They need to keep building the O line because Joe Burrow's been beat up. He was the most sacked quarterback last season. You saw in the Titans game, he got sacked multiple times, like all season he did, and he was just banged up. And I feel like it's hard for people to do that. I just feel like it's not as easy for him to put up the same amount of stats as Josh Allen because he has the O-line to protect him. But, of course, Joe Burrow is a very great contender for MVP, so we'll just have to see.
And you, Lucas?
Um, I agree to an extent with what Hendrick said about the O-line. If they have to improve that O-line because he's a pocket passer, but he can run a little bit, but he is a pocket passer. He likes to be in the pocket and calm. With LSU, he had a great O-line, and so he really wasn't pressured as much as he's seeing in the Bengals at the Bengals right now. But I think they're going to try to involve the running game with Joe Mixon this year, and so I really think it's going to take off his load a little bit more, as Joe Mixon is a really good running back, and he can really do some stuff for that team.
Any other questions?
Also, for the AIL too, I can't really take a side because it depends on really what the player wants. Because just like Lucas said, you can't just spend $8 million for somebody. They could just really just go out and just like abandon them or something. Because like the players have been really young.
You, Hendricks?
I agree with that because, I mean, what you said about $8 million, there has to be some sort of regulations to NIL because, especially Texas schools, they have big donors, and some smaller schools don't as much. So I feel like when you have schools like those, all of those kids are going to be getting, the big-time kid players are going to be getting big money, but you have to think into, you have to put this into perspective. Chargers quarterback now, but used to be quarterback at Oregon, Justin Herbert. The number 10 jersey at Oregon, no last name, just the number 10 jersey with Oregon on it. It sold for $10.5 million, and he got $0 from that. So I think you have to take into account he made zero money from that, and I think that's. I don't think he needs to get all $10.5 million, but I don't think it makes sense for him to get not a dime of that.
Lucas?
Yeah, it's just, and the schools aren't going about it the right way. The schools should make it mandatory for a class on how to do your taxes, because if you don't do your taxes, that scholarship goes down the drain, and you really can't play if you're in jail. But also, like Hendrick said, player shirt sale is another very big topic, which they really didn't cover in NIL, and I think they still went with it the wrong way, and they kind of messed up how they were supposed to do it.
That's all for today. Thank you for calling. This is Sports in a Nutshell on 105.3 The Beat.